Hi, I'm Timmy Grogan. Today I'm with Elizabeth Rose. Elizabeth, let's jump right in.
Okay.
I understand you're a divorce lender. What led you to this? Tell me your story.
Well, you could say it was not an easy path. It was my own divorce that led me to this. I got married very young to my high school sweetheart while we were in college, and 2 years later had the first baby, and then a year and a half later had the second child, and we bought a home. My grandmother had gifted my inheritance to me while she was still living. So we used that to buy a home. And then fast forward a few years, and by the age 27, I find myself divorced, raising two children, a 3 and a 4-year-old, by myself.
Wow.
And it's very tough. And you think it's kind of funny to look back on how you think at age 20 something.
Right.
But you think you're invincible. You have the Wonder Woman cape, and you can do everything until life smacks you in the face. And so I went through that divorce. It was relatively amicable. And I made some decisions during that divorce that were not very wise. And they put a hardship on me and my girls. And then fast forward a few more years, I'm married again. And I thought I was wiser.
Right.
But marriage is not easy all the time. And that marriage also ended in divorce. I'm older, I'm further along in life, and so it was a little more complicated divorce from a financial perspective. By this point in time, my kids are now teenagers about to graduate, and I've got so much ahead of me, college and weddings and all of that comes with older children. And my ex-husband and I had a sizable marital estate that had to be separated, and
So much different than when you're in your 20s. Now you're having a different experience.
exactly more complex. I got some information, some input. We had a forensic accountant that went through all the financials of the marriage and identified what was marital property and what was really in the marriage estate, so to speak. But what was interesting about that, I think I'm doing the right thing, is he just gives me the data and there's no guidance. And so it was up to me to decipher what it meant and how it should be split up, or what I thought, I should ask for. Do I ask for this or for this?
And we don't always know what to ask for. We
Correct.
don't know what to do.
And most of the time we're operating from an emotional place.
Mm-hmm.
So what I see happen most of the time is women ask for the house. And a lot of times men aren't interested in the house. They want to keep the 401k. And there's many ways to split things up. But the forensic accountant gave me the data, and I did not seek any counsel. And I regret that.
It's hard to ask for that help.
It is. And one of those people was my father. My father is, he spent his whole life dealing with contract law and real estate and finance, and I didn't ask. I think I was in a vacuum, and I thought, I work in finance, I've worked in finance my whole life. I know what I'm doing.
Right.
I can make these decisions.
Right. Even though you didn't specialize in that area, you thought, I can do
I'm
this.
smart.
Okay.
I got this.
So is it safe to say then your journey brought you here because you've made mistakes, you've been there, you've walked through it, and you want to help others walk through it in a much better way?
Absolutely. And so the reason I do this work is for that 27-year-old woman child that I was, and that 40-year-old mom that I was, and all the other men and women out there who need direction, need advice, need guidance, need input, so that they can make good financial decisions about the afterlife of their divorce.
Sounds like you're in the right place for a lot of people. So you advocate that it's important to have a divorce team. Why is that?
There's okay ways to do things, there's good ways, and there's better ways. And so I would advocate, let's do it the better way. If it's better for you to take the money this way rather than that way, still the same amount of money or the same benefit, let's do it the better way. There's so many consequences that can come about in making these financial decisions. So you want to make sure that you're making the right decision, and or that you at least know what the consequences are for those. Is it a taxable event? Is it not? Is it better to take a bank account versus a 401k? And you just need some expertise. When you've got so many moving parts in separating, I think it's vital that you have every component on your team. Divorcing people should surround themselves with a good attorney, a financial planner. There are divorce financial planners out there, a tax planner, and a divorce lender. And then we work all together, kind of like all the pieces of the puzzle coming together to put both parties in the best position they can possibly be in. And obviously it's not an ideal situation, but let's at least get them in a good place.
So you mentioned, they go to family law. Most people probably, typically in your experience, they go to the lawyer first. At what point do you or your team come into play?
Well, preferably in the beginning, right at the same time you're meeting with a family law attorney so that we can work together as a team. It's a little bit outside of the attorney's expertise. Family law attorneys are really great at what they do, but there's so many consequences that can come about in making these financial decisions. So you want to make sure that you're making the right decision. I've seen so many times people come to me after the fact, and now you've got a divorce that's carved in stone, and I take a look at it and I might not be able to help you right away because of the way the divorce settlement was worded.
What makes post-divorce financing situations so unique? Tell me more about that, post-divorce financing.
Well, then we're dealing with a divorce decree, and it's carved in stone, and so there's no opportunity to restructure something. For instance, the child support or the alimony, and allocate it in a different way. And in doing that, let's just say one party's leaving the house and they've got to live somewhere, and they want to buy a house. Well, if it's structured one way, they may not qualify, but yet if it was structured same dollars, using the same amount of money, but move it from one label to another label, you may be able to use that as income right away. In other instances, you may have to wait. So if the divorce is done, now we're dealing with everything cast in stone, and you just have to live with consequences. So a lot of times people's hands are tied for some period of time before they can actually do something because of the way it was structured.
Right, and I work in real estate, and I've actually seen that firsthand. So had they consulted you, it would have helped them.
Right.
Yes.
And I've seen situations too where, let's say people have a primary home and an investment property, which, 10 years ago, everybody was trying to buy investment property, or actually for the last 10 years, a lot of everyday people have been out there buying investment property. So now you have one party, they're separating, so one's going to keep the house, the other one's going to move into the investment property. Well, what they don't know is it could be a taxable event.
Wow.
And they don't know that until they've done it.
Okay.
So there's just things that you want to iron out before you jump in with both feet and do it and sign on the dotted line.
Okay, what if somebody is not really going through a divorce, or there's not a mortgage or real estate involved, but they've got some financial situations, some trouble going on? Can they call you for help?
Well, I would certainly give it a try. I invite people to call me with whatever they're struggling with. And if I can't personally help them, I have access to so many good business professionals in the financial world that there's certainly somebody I can send them to and recommend. I have access to a lot of really excellent financial planners and tax preparers and so forth. In fact, I just referred a client the other day to an attorney. She'd been interviewing several, and now that obviously is divorce, but I was able to get her in touch with somebody that she had a connection with. So I always encourage people to call. I think the worst thing that we do to ourselves is we feel a lot of times embarrassed or ashamed of what's going on. So we just won't reach out at all.
Right.
And so I want people to feel safe, and I want them to feel like they can call, there's someone they can call.
Right.
Now, I may or may not be able to help them, but I can sure get them in the right direction.
Perfect. Yeah, because it's not always fun talking about finances, and especially if you've got pitfalls or failures. You know, it's just hard to talk about. So.
And I think most of us do have things that we're not too proud of that have happened in our financial life at some point in time in our life.
So now that we know you're there, how does someone get a hold of you?
Well, the best way is either visit me online. My website is elizabethroseonline.com, or they can call me. My number is 972-345-3268.
Okay, I have one last question for you.
Okay.
You've been married twice.
Oh boy.
You've gone through 2 divorces, made some mistakes. It was tough. Would you ever get married again?
Absolutely. I would. I believe in marriage. I think it's a wonderful thing. Obviously, it's not easy and it takes work, but yes, I would love to be married again one day if I meet that special someone.
I have every hope and thought that you will. So.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Do you have any last thoughts for us? Any final statements to make?
Well, actually, yes. I believe that everything works together for good, just like it says in Romans 8. And I know that divorce is no fun, but I believe I've been equipped to help people get through it so they can get back to that good place. And so that's what I'm here for. I'm here to serve.